She thought she was meeting a friend she'd found online. But within days, she was gone forever. In the quiet streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, a sinister tale of captivity, torture, and silence unfolded. Welcome to Mysteries and Crime, where tonight we ask, when does a simple conversation turn into a death sentence? In February of 2025, 16-year-old Miranda Corsette disappeared after meeting 35-year-old Steven Gress through a dating app. Days later, reports would reveal a story of captivity, torture, and murder. According to authorities, what began as an online chat ended in one of Florida's most disturbing crimes. On February 24th, 2025, Miranda Corsette's grandmother reported her missing. The 16-year-old had left home days earlier, but contact had suddenly stopped. Authorities began tracing her last known movements, leading them to the digital trail of a dating app called Grindr. It was there Miranda had allegedly connected with 35-year-old Steven Gress, a man with a history of violence and disturbing behavior. As days passed, whispers of something far worse began to surface. On March 6th, a witness came forward, claiming Miranda had been held captive, beaten, and murdered inside Gress's St. Petersburg home. Police quickly moved in, arresting Steven Gress the following day. His girlfriend, 37-year-old Michelle Brandes, turned herself in shortly after. But by then, it was too late. Miranda Corsette was gone. Her remains allegedly discarded in a dumpster miles away in Ruskin, Florida. The community was left in shock. How could a teenager disappear so easily and fall victim to such brutality without anyone noticing until it was over? Law enforcement began piecing together the grim details, uncovering a case marked by control, cruelty, and silence. Miranda Corsette was just 16 years old, a bright, adventurous teenager living with her grandmother in Gulfport, Florida. According to reports, Miranda was known for her free spirit and curiosity. She enjoyed music, social media, and, like many teens, sought connection in a digital world. Friends described her as kind-hearted, but also vulnerable, navigating the challenges of adolescence without her parents present. It was this search for companionship that allegedly led Miranda to download Grindr, a dating app not designed for minors. Somehow, she connected with a man more than twice her age. On February 15th, 2025, Miranda left home, telling her grandmother she was meeting a friend. But that friend was Steven Gress. Miranda returned to Gress's residence in St. Petersburg multiple times, unaware, perhaps, of the danger that lurked behind closed doors. As days passed, communication with her family stopped. There were no calls, no messages, only silence. By the time concern turned into panic, it was too late. Miranda's story is a tragic reminder of how quickly youthful innocence can collide with real-world evil. A teenager looking for connection became the victim of a crime too horrific to imagine. Her life, full of potential, was cut short in a way no family should ever endure. Steven Gress, 35 years old, a name now associated with cruelty and control. According to reports, Gress had a troubling past marked by allegations of violence and manipulation. Living in St. Petersburg, Florida, he maintained a low profile, but those who knew him described a man with a dark demeanor. Gress was allegedly obsessed with dominance, often seeking vulnerable individuals online. His relationship with 37-year-old Michelle Brandis reflected this pattern, a dynamic built on control and compliance. When investigators delved into Gress's background, they uncovered disturbing behaviors, screenshots, messages, and images that painted a picture of a man fascinated by inflicting pain. Michelle Brandis, his girlfriend, became more than just a bystander. Authorities allege that she participated willingly, assisting in Miranda's captivity and eventual death. Prosecutors believe that between February 15th and February 24th, Gress and Brandis subjected Miranda to daily abuse, all over a missing ring that Gress accused her of stealing. The couple's alleged actions escalated from physical assault to murder, and finally, to dismemberment. Steven Gress now faces charges of first-degree murder and kidnapping, with prosecutors seeking the death penalty. Michelle Brandis faces identical charges. Both remain in custody, silent as the evidence against them grows. Law enforcement describes this case as one of the most brutal they've seen, a calculated act of violence carried out behind suburban walls. It began on February 15th, 2025, when Miranda Corsette stepped into Steven Gress's home in St. Petersburg, Florida. She had no idea it would become a prison. According to reports, the nightmare started over something trivial: a missing ring, one that Gress accused Miranda of stealing. What followed was 9 days of escalating horror. Miranda was allegedly held captive, confined within the walls of Gress's residence. Each day brought new levels of torment. Authorities revealed that Gress and his girlfriend, Michelle Brandis, subjected Miranda to relentless beatings. Bruises covered her body, her face swollen, ribs fractured, evidence of sustained methodical abuse. Photographs recovered from Gress's phone allegedly showed Miranda's deteriorating condition, images that investigators described as haunting. Yet, these photos were not kept in secret. Gress reportedly shared them with multiple people, including his own mother. Despite witnessing clear signs of torture, no one alerted authorities. On February 24th, the violence reached its peak. Prosecutors allege that Gress and Brandis forced a billiard ball into Miranda's mouth. They then wrapped her face tightly in plastic wrap, suffocating her slowly until her life slipped away. But their cruelty did not end with her death. For 2 days, they allegedly kept Miranda's body inside the home, discussing what to do next. According to police reports, Gress and Brandis eventually dismembered her remains, a calculated effort to conceal the crime. They transported her body parts to Ruskin, Florida, and discarded them in a commercial dumpster, as if throwing away trash. By the time investigators learned of Miranda's fate on March 6th, there was nothing left to recover. The dumpster had been emptied, its contents taken to a landfill, lost forever. Without a body, law enforcement relied on forensic evidence from the crime scene, digital communications, and witness testimonies to piece together the sequence of events. What emerged was a picture of senseless brutality. A teenager trapped by 2 predators, tortured over days, and erased without a trace. As investigators combed through the home, they found blood evidence, restraints, and the haunting digital footprint left by Gress's own hands. It was a crime that shocked even seasoned detectives, not only for its violence, but for the chilling indifference shown by those who could have intervened. The case became a stark reminder that behind the doors of an ordinary house, unimaginable horrors can unfold, unseen and unheard, until it is far too late. When Miranda Corsette was reported missing on February 24th, law enforcement began with the usual steps: tracing phone records, social media activity, and interviewing friends and family. It wasn't long before they discovered Miranda's recent communications on a dating app. A digital trail led straight to Steven Gress. Despite the lack of immediate physical evidence, detectives acted swiftly. On March 7th, Gress was arrested after a key witness came forward, alleging that Miranda had been murdered. Michelle Brandes surrendered the following day. Search warrants were executed at Gress's home, revealing disturbing evidence, blood stains, restraints, and electronic devices filled with incriminating images and messages. Yet, without a body, investigators faced significant hurdles. It was the digital footprint, texts, photos, and witness statements that ultimately built the foundation of the case. Authorities described their efforts as a race against time, piecing together a crime that Gress allegedly tried to erase. The absence of Miranda's remains presented one of the biggest forensic challenges. With the body allegedly discarded in a landfill, recovery was impossible. Investigators turned to the crime scene for answers. Forensic teams documented blood spatter patterns, DNA evidence, and trace materials linking Miranda to the residence. Digital forensics played a critical role. Gress's phone contained time-stamped photographs of Miranda's injuries, messages where he allegedly described his actions, boasting about the abuse. Surveillance footage tracked Gress and Brandes traveling toward Ruskin, aligning with the timeline of body disposal. Still, without a physical body, prosecutors had to rely heavily on circumstantial evidence and confessions from witnesses. Modern forensic technology helped fill in the gaps. But the case highlighted the grim reality that even in today's world, some victims can vanish without a trace. Despite these obstacles, law enforcement remained confident in securing justice for Miranda Corsette. When news of Miranda Corsette's alleged murder broke, the community of Gulfport and St. Petersburg was shaken. Parents grew fearful, questioning how a teenager could vanish so easily and fall victim to such brutality. Conversations surrounding online safety, especially for minors, surged across schools and neighborhoods. Vigils were held in Miranda's memory. Candles flickered in the night as friends, family, and strangers mourned a life taken too soon. The public demanded answers and accountability, not only from the accused, but from those who allegedly knew about the abuse and stayed silent. A sense of collective grief, mixed with outrage, filled the air. The media quickly seized upon the harrowing details. Headlines described the case as one of Florida's most disturbing in recent years. National outlets reported on Miranda's disappearance, the alleged torture, and the grisly aftermath. Commentators questioned how multiple witnesses could have received photos of Miranda's condition, yet failed to alert authorities. Discussions about digital predators and the dangers of unsupervised app use dominated news cycles as prosecutors announced their intent to seek the death penalty. The case remained firmly in the public eye. The media's spotlight ensured that Miranda Corsette's story would not be forgotten. From the outset, law enforcement focused on Steven Gress and Michelle Brandis as the primary suspects. However, questions lingered about others who allegedly knew of the abuse. According to reports, Gress had shared images of Miranda's injuries with multiple individuals, including his mother and several acquaintances. Despite receiving these disturbing photos, none of them contacted authorities. This led to public speculation. Could more people face charges for failing to act? Prosecutors hinted at possible accessory charges, but as of now, no additional arrests have been made. Some theories suggest that fear, manipulation, or disbelief kept these witnesses silent. While Gress and Brandis stand accused of the crime, the role of bystanders remains a haunting element of this case. It raises a chilling question. How many lives could be saved if someone spoke up sooner? Steven Gress and Michelle Brandis were formally charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping in March of 2025. Prosecutors announced their intention to seek the death penalty, citing the heinous nature of the crime. During pretrial hearings, graphic evidence was presented, including digital records and forensic findings from the crime scene. The defense offered little public comment, but legal experts noted that without a recovered body, the case would rely heavily on circumstantial evidence. Despite this challenge, the weight of photographic proof, witness testimony, and forensic links strengthened the prosecution's position. As of now, both Gress and Brandis remain in custody, awaiting trial. The proceedings are set to begin later this year, with national attention expected to follow every development. For Miranda's family, the hope is that justice, however delayed, will finally be served. Despite the arrests, many questions remain. Why did those who allegedly saw evidence of Miranda's suffering stay silent? Could intervention have saved her life? The absence of Miranda's remains leaves a painful void. For her family, closure feels distant, and the full truth of what happened behind closed doors may never be known. As the trial approaches, the community watches, hoping that justice will prevail, but haunted by the reality that some answers are forever lost. The case of Miranda Corsette has sparked conversations across Florida and beyond. Discussions about online safety, mandatory reporting laws, and accountability for bystanders have intensified. Law enforcement agencies are reevaluating how digital evidence is handled, and families are becoming more vigilant about the dangers lurking behind screens. Miranda's story serves as a tragic reminder that in today's connected world, predators can reach into the lives of the vulnerable without warning. Her name, now etched into the narrative of cautionary tales, urges society to recognize the signs and never ignore a silent cry for help. What are your thoughts on the Steven Gress case? Could a different turn of events have changed everything? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on Mysteries and Crime. As always, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay safe.